Good morning, Cooper Friedman, and let me introduce anyone in from City Electric. Welcome to the Cooper Friedman team. Happy to have you and looking forward to some good things. Today, my name is Eddie Miro, and I am the Lutron rep for New York and New Jersey, and today with me from Lutron is Joe Puro, our regional manager.
How we doing?
So hope everybody's doing well. I think we got a really good show. It's going to cover both some commercial products on the Lutron side and the residential side. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Absolutely. So a couple of things we wanted to run through, and to Eddie's point, Joe Puro with Lutron, appreciate everyone that's joining the call, WebEx. But some of the things we wanted to run through was we want to talk about really the two main types of events that we're going to be, doing for the remainder of the year that are targeted towards your customers. There's really two things. We do what we call a pro event, which is a residentially focused, so residential customers, and we focus on product lines like Caseta and Raw 2 Select. That's really your whole connected home pitch. And then we do what we call VIP events. And now these are commercially focused, and the product line that we focus on those is our product line called Vibe, which hopefully everyone's somewhat heard of. And then we want to talk about what events we have coming up. We have a pretty jam-packed month of June coming up with Cooper Friedman in terms of pro events and VIP events. And then we wanted to kind of end it with just a little, recap on the whole connected home product that we're pushing, Caseta and Raw 2 Select, and a kind of side-by-side comparison because, Caseta is a product we've had out now for 3 years. We've done a lot of events and a lot of different training, and, I think a lot of people are familiar with that product line. And, Raw 2 Select was launched at the end of last year, and it's just something that we want to just make sure you understand what it is, because if you know what this is, Caseta, you definitely want to know what Raw 2 Select is.
Joe, if we can just jump back up to number 2, right?
Yep.
Vibe. What is Vibe, right? So Vibe's had a couple of different family names. Energy Tri-Pack was one of them, or Maestro Wireless. It's the same group of products. Only thing Good morning, Cooper Friedman, and let me introduce anyone in from City Electric. Welcome to the Cooper Friedman team. Happy to have you and looking forward to some good things. Today, my name is Eddie Miro, and I am the Lutron rep for New York and New Jersey, and today with me from Lutron is Joe Puro, our regional manager.
How we doing?
So hope everybody's doing well. I think we got a really good show. It's going to cover both some commercial products on the Lutron side and the residential side. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Absolutely. So a couple of things we wanted to run through, and to Eddie's point, Joe Puro with Lutron, appreciate everyone that's joining the call, WebEx. But some of the things we wanted to run through was we want to talk about really the two main types of events that we're going to be, doing for the remainder of the year that are targeted towards your customers. There's really two things. We do what we call a pro event, which is a residentially focused, so residential customers, and we focus on product lines like Caseta and Raw 2 Select. That's really your whole connected home pitch. And then we do what we call VIP events. And now these are commercially focused, and the product line that we focus on those is our product line called Vibe, which hopefully everyone's somewhat heard of. And then we want to talk about what events we have coming up. We have a pretty jam-packed month of June coming up with Cooper Friedman in terms of pro events and VIP events. And then we wanted to kind of end it with just a little, recap on the whole connected home product that we're pushing, Caseta and Raw 2 Select, and a kind of side-by-side comparison because, Caseta is a product we've had out now for 3 years. We've done a lot of events and a lot of different training, and, I think a lot of people are familiar with that product line. And, Raw 2 Select was launched at the end of last year, and it's just something that we want to just make sure you understand what it is, because if you know what this is, Caseta, you definitely want to know what Raw 2 Select is.
Joe, if we can just jump back up to number 2, right?
Yep.
Vibe. What is Vibe, right? So Vibe's had a couple of different family names. Energy Tri-Pack was one of them, or Maestro Wireless. It's the same group of products. Only thing we've added is the hub. Think of this hub as a bridge in Caseta or Raw Select, right? So we're now referring to the entire family as the Vibe family of products, okay?
Absolutely. So now let's talk about, we do these what we call a VIP event, right? Like I said, these are commercially focused customer events where, the product focus is that Vibe product that Eddie was just mentioning. And, it's typically an after-hours event. Get your commercial customers in there, and we go through, Vibe, which for us is a very simple, reliable, scalable lighting control system for any type of commercial space. As a matter of fact, we have one coming up in Edison, New Jersey at Topgolf on June 20th. That's going to go from 4 to 7, so we're going to do a training event for your customers and anyone from Cooper Freeman that attends, and then we're going to afterwards do some fun golf activities and things like that. So we're hoping that's a great event. Obviously, you should have the invites and make sure we're pushing that. And then we look on the flip side and see now what are these pro events that we try to push, right? I said before they're residentially focused. So they are residentially focused. They're going after your residentially focused customers, and we focus on the products Caseta Wireless and Raw 2 Select, which again is that whole connected home messaging, right? It is, I want an app for something. I want to put light dimmers and switches in my house, and I want to be able to control it with all the voice stuff and from my mobile device. That's what this product is.
And for the last couple of years, we've promoted Caseta, right? So while we're going to touch on Caseta at this event, it's going to be heavily tilted towards the Raw Select portion of the line, right? And we're going to get into the differences in the two very shortly.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a sample invite that those employees should be getting to see when the events are coming up. And Eddie, you may be able to speak to how these things kind of go more.
Yeah. So we've got 4 pro training events set up, and then the 5th would be the Vibe on the commercial side. But for the residential side, what we've done is we've created 4 training events. We've held this one the last 2 years. Thank you, Eugene. Hopefully you're online watching this, and you've been a great supporter in promoting this. So for the 3rd year in a row, we're going to hold it at this Casa Rihanna restaurant up in Westchester County. So the Newburgh branch, obviously the Elmsford branch, the New York City branch, pull Resi guys into this training. It's a great venue, a great restaurant. The training itself will be about an hour and a half. Great food. Yes, there will be drink serves too. So that is June 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the restaurant. Please blast this out to any residential contractor. It's all about the Select. We've got to promote the Select. You guys are now stocking it. So, again, it's about the connected home. So let's get as many guys as we can out to this event. Again, it's June 7th. All of you received an email blast from marketing. There'll be another blast going out shortly. So please forward that out to your Resi contractors and have them register and come. So that's the first one.
Absolutely. So aside from, the first one we actually have is coming up June 5th, right?
Correct.
So, that's just a sample of the invite, but here's a list of what we have coming up in June. As I mentioned before, June is going to be a packed month for Lutron with you guys in terms of events. We have 4 of these pro events, so 4 residentially focused training events. The first one we have coming up is June 5th. And this one's going to be a real treat if you're local to the area and you're going to try to attract customers. This is going to be at the Lutron headquarters in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania, in our training room. So that'll be kind of I'd say a special venue. I think it'll help attract your customers to, be able to come into the Lutron headquarters, and they'll do a little show and tell outside of the training as well. So it'll be they'll be able to see some of the headquarters, what we have to offer. So that's coming up June 5th. And again, that's in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. And then we have, to Eddie's point, June 7th at Casa Arena, which is, you said north of Westchester, correct? And then we have, the next one after that is going to be Tuesday, June 12th. And that's going to be at Aqua Blue, which is South Jersey, correct?
Correct.
And then we have Thursday, June 14th. And we're going to do that at the Cooper Ocean location.
Right. So Aqua Blue's in Tom's River. You'll see branches listed there. Please don't let a branch that's not listed there stop inviting a guy. I'll give you an example. I talked to an electrical contractor who does business in the Plainfield branch. You don't see Plainfield here. Guess what? He's registering to go out to the Coopersburg training on June 5th.
Yep.
Okay? So, again, if you're not listed on there, still send out the invite. It's very important.
Absolutely. Like I said, I highly recommend that June 5th one if your geography permits it, because that's going to be a pretty special event because it's at our headquarters. So that'll be pretty neat.
Yeah, and we encourage you, Cooper, Friedman, people, to bring a contractor with you, right? So you build that relationship even further with that contractor. You're sitting in the car with them for a couple of hours, so it's really, really good if you can do that also.
Absolutely. And then now jumping back to the commercial side of it, we're doing the VIP event, right, which is that Vibe product, commercially focused product. As mentioned before, that's going to be June 20th, 4 to 7 p.m., and that's another event that I think is going to be pretty special because we're doing it at the Topgolf, I don't know what they call it, Topgolf Arena, Topgolf course in Edison, New Jersey, but that'll be a good time, right? We'll do a training, good food, and then we'll follow it up with some fun activity. So just wanted to make everyone aware of the events coming up in June and kind of what customers to go after. Again, if we say the word pro event, we're talking residentially focused customers. If we say VIP or commercial, we're obviously talking commercial type customers. So kind of, diving into a little bit of product, what we wanted to do is kind of introduce you to Radio Raw 2 Select if you weren't familiar with it, understand why we came out with it, and kind of show you side by side, when to lead or when to use Caseta and when to maybe pivot and go with Raw 2 Select. So prior to the launch of Raw 2 Select, if you're looking at the screen, you're looking at the two product lines that we offered for residential systems, right? We have Caseta Wireless, which we've had out for 3 years now, that's just absolutely taken off in the contractor community in terms of it is very easy, it is simple, it's inexpensive. They love the fact that there's no certification, no software requirements. However, it has some limitations in terms of the size house you can do and how many devices you can do. And we'll talk about those. So if Caseta didn't foot the bill, then we have a product called Radio Raw 2. Radio Raw 2 is a great product. You can do a much larger home and many more devices, and you have more device options. However, it's not for every electrical contractor because you have to be certified and it is software based. So Lutron, we saw that we were missing something there, right? A lot of people really like Caseta, but it was limited in what it could do. A lot of people really like Radio Raw 2. However, maybe it was a little bit too much, to bite off of what they want to do for their business in terms of being certified and pulling out a laptop and using software to commission a system. So we launched Raw 2 Select that literally just kind of wedges right in between the two systems. So we said, let's take what everyone loves about Caseta Wireless over the last 3 years, right? It's simple, it's reliable, it's inexpensive. The app's very easy to understand. It works with all this other smart home stuff I'm seeing in homes like, Amazon Alexa and the Google Voice and
of course Nest.
And of course Nest, right? So a lot of people really like that product. And then we said, what do people like about Radio Raw 2? Well, they like the fact that they can do larger homes. They have more devices. It's a pro channel only type of product, so it's a little bit protected. And that's really the combination of those two systems is what Radio Raw 2 is. Raw 2 Select. So again, if you're looking at the screen, just it's kind of a side-by-side comparison of Caseta, Raw 2 Select, and Radio Raw 2 in terms of list pricing, kind of to get started in terms of cost. Caseta with a basic 5 devices and some type of keypad and being able to use your app, you're looking at maybe around $600 list price to get going. Raw 2 Select for the same type of components, you're looking at about $1,000, and then Radio Raw 2 software-based, you're looking at about $1,700 to $1,800 to get started. So just kind of showing you where it fits. So now let's look at the two systems and kind of what separates them and when to know to go with which system. So Caseta, right? If you're looking at the screen now, you'll see that we got two what they look like. If you're familiar with the Caseta Smart Bridge, and then next to it has the Radio Raw 2, what we call now main repeater, right? They look the same, they're just different colors, right? Caseta does 50 devices, Radio Raw 2 Select repeater does 100 devices. Good news is it's all the same app, right? It's the same app that you use for Caseta, so there's not separate apps, still a free app, and they both program and commission the same way. So if you're familiar with how to set up a Caseta home, you're going to be familiar how to set up a Raw 2 Select home because there's no difference.
So, Joe, is it fair to say when you fire up one of the two bridges, if it's a Caseta bridge or a select bridge, it'll recognize, the app will recognize which bridge,
Absolutely.
and it brings up that menu of products.
Absolutely, right. When you do your initial setup and you hit the button on the back side of one of the, what we call a brain, whether it's a bridge or a repeater, it'll recognize what it is, right? And it'll, to Eddie's point, it'll bring out your list of raw 2 dimmers and switches, or if it's Caseta, it'll bring out your list of Caseta dimmers and switches, right? So now it kind of, if you were starting to design a system, right, there's really 3 steps you got to follow. First and foremost, if they want an app for it, right, if they're trying to make it a system and have it connected, you got to pick the right brain, so to speak, right? You got to go with Caseta with the smart bridge, or you got to go with raw 2 select main repeater, right? And once you've selected that, then you pick your devices. And when we say a device, we're talking about stuff that's still wires, right? The wired stuff that goes in the wall, the switches, the dimmers, the appliance module, the lamp module, the dim floor lamps and things. So, one thing that's important to note is a Caseta dimmer will not work with a raw 2 select main repeater, and a radio raw 2 dimmer will not work with a Caseta bridge, right? So you got to pick your devices and match them to the right brain. One thing to mention on radio raw 2 select, the devices that work off the main repeater, they are not a new product. They are just Radio Raw 2 devices. So any Maestro style Radio Raw 2 dimmer or switch, any RRD device will work with this main repeater, right? So we didn't launch a whole new set of dimmers in 3 different systems. Raw 2 Select is Radio Raw 2 limited, right, to just Maestro devices in the wall and limited to 100 devices, right? And then finally, we have a whole suite of different, what we call Pico remotes, right? Hopefully everyone's familiar with these. We've had them out for quite a while. We keep expanding them in terms of the types that we have. The neat part about the Picos is they work across the board, right? A Pico is a Pico for us. Doesn't matter if it's Caseta. Doesn't matter if it's Raw 2 Select. Doesn't matter if you're using a bridge or a repeater, or if you're just doing standalone, right? Let's face it, the one thing that, Caseta really took off with is, Caseta became every contractor's new way to do a 3-way wiring scheme without running the wires for the 3-way, right? Replace the dimmer or switch with a Caseta device, grab a remote, pair it up, press a couple buttons, go put this on a wall or something, and you're off and running, and you didn't have to get up in the attic or anything like that and fish wires. So, like I said, both systems still can do button press programming without an app, but anytime you want an app, anytime you want to set time clocks, anytime you want to tie into any other smart home devices like Nest devices or, the voice stuff that's out there today, that's when you need to have one of the brains, right? Whether it's Radio Raw 2 with the repeater or it's Caseta with the bridge. Miss anything?
Perfect.
Well, I guess I did, actually, so I'm looking at the slide, right? One thing we did miss is with Raw 2 Select, you can use Lutron wireless occupancy sensors as devices, right? These would be great for areas like a laundry room, maybe a larger bathroom, maybe a garage, maybe a pantry, maybe a hallway where you want the light if you get up in the middle of the night, you walk out in your hallway, maybe a sensor tells the light to go to 10%. That way you don't get blinded, but you also have a pathway light to the bathroom, something like that.
The other thing I might as well add to the conversation is with Raw 2 Select now, you can add in a fan speed control. That always comes up when we're doing a Caseta training. Hey, can I control my fan? With Caseta, all you can do is put in our switch and just turn that fan on and off. Now with Raw Select, we have a 4-speed fan speed control. It's off, low, medium, high that you can control.
Absolutely. All right, so now let's look at the comparison of the 2 brains, right, of the systems, right? So Caseta, Smart Bridge, you're allowed to do 50 devices. So you're limited to a 50-device system, and you can only have 1 bridge per system, meaning we can't repeat signals, right? So that means that, we usually tell you Caseta's sweet spot is about maybe 2,500 to 3,000 square foot space, or home or condo, whatever it happens to be, but you're limited to about 3,000 square feet with the Caseta system, and you're limited to 50 devices. And the list price of the bridge, goes for $150 list. And then you jump over to Raw 2 Select, and Raw 2 Select, we doubled the devices, so now you can do 100 devices. And we have auxiliary repeaters that can be part of the system, meaning you can do up to 4 auxiliary repeaters that basically repeat this wireless coverage 4 times. right? So basically, you got to think about it. If Caseta can do, a 3,000 square foot space, you can times that by 4 with Raw 2 Select, right? They both wire and connect the same way, right? You got to plug it into power, and then you got to plug it into your router, right? It's got to be hardwired into a router for internet connectivity, but they both wire up the same way, right?
The auxiliary repeaters literally just plug into a receptacle.
Absolutely, right? So the auxiliary repeater, when you go to Raw 2 Select, which is probably one of the biggest things that separates the two systems, is the fact that we have auxiliary repeaters that now can repeat the signal for larger homes, or maybe, a wing of the house that's a little bit far away from where the router is and things like that. So you can have 4 auxiliary repeaters on a Raw 2 Select system. To Eddie's point, these devices the auxiliary repeaters do not need to be wired back to your router. They just got to plug in the wall, right? So you can hide these things on a tabletop. You can hide these up in a closet somewhere. It doesn't matter. You just got to plug them into power is all.
So really, Joe, think of them as cell towers, right?
Kind of, right? Or Wi-Fi extenders, so to speak, right? Things like that.
So just going back to that slide, if we can, Joe.
Yep.
So when you look at Raw 2 Select, realistically, we could take it from a 3,000 square foot house to really up to a 10 to 12,000 square foot house and everything in between. So inevitably, whenever we did Caseta trainings, a contractor would raise his house and say, I'm in a house that's 5,000 square feet. At that point, we'd have to have the Radio Raw 2 conversation about being certified in software. That all goes away now with Raw 2 Select. It is the same app. It is very easy. Yes, the cost jumps. Again, say to that contractor, hey, if you're in a 5, 6, 7, 8,000 square foot house, guess what? They can afford Radio Rod product, okay? So don't let the pricing scare you.
Absolutely. And to Eddie's point, as we've been going around, showing this product off for 3 years, the common things that come up with Caseta is definitely one of the biggest ones. Is we've had a lot of contractors trying to figure out how they're going to squeeze Caseta into a home that's probably too big for Caseta. But to Eddie's point, they didn't want to take that next step and get certified for Raw 2 and pull out their computer on a job site. And that's where Raw 2 Select comes in. It covers you now, and hopefully in most of what the homes you're working into. So now just looking at the devices, right? So Caseta, hopefully you're familiar with what the devices are. We have, pretty much, I'd say 90% of the dimmers and switches that you would use residentially. So we got you covered in terms of having the right device. Caseta devices are only available in Lutron gloss colors. You cannot get satin colors. And then the prices vary from $70 up to $135 per device, list price. Right. Then you jump over to Raw 2 Select. As I mentioned before, these are not new dimmers. These are the same dimmers that we sell for Radio Raw 2. So any Maestro-style Radio Raw 2 device works with Select, right? And if you're looking at the screen, the things that are highlighted in blue are what we offer for Raw 2 Select that you can't get with Caseta in terms of devices, right? First and foremost, you can get Maestro-style, right, because it's a Radio Raw 2 Maestro dimmer. Right, so if you weren't a fan of the Caseta aesthetic with the buttons, you can go back to Maestro style. We sell some, higher wattage dimmers. To Eddie's point earlier, we sell the fan speed control for Radio Raw 2, so you're able to do fan speed control now. We sell a phased adaptive dimmer, which basically does forward and reverse phase for dimming. Right, so when you're doing things like electronic low voltage or magnetic low voltage, you do a phase adaptive dimmer. You just wire it in. It'll figure out what phase it's supposed to do, whether it's forward or reverse. And then we do 3-wire dimmers, right? That's important if you're using any Lutron interfaces or Lutron, drivers. You're able to use a Lutron now Raw 2 3-wire dimmer with a Lutron, driver that you may wire into your low voltage, tape light and things like that. We sell an appliance module, right? We launched Caseta. Here's the Caseta plug-in module for floor lamps. Probably hard to tell on the screen, but this is designed for floor lamps only, right? And it does dimming, and there's no ground on it, right? So we're not plugging small appliances into this. It's designed for lamps only. For Raw 2 Select, we actually sell a device kind of looks like a mini extension cord that you just plug in the wall, and then you can plug a small appliance into it, and you get that ground wire. As mentioned before, you get the wireless aux sensors, right? The Lutron wireless occupancy sensor with a 10-year battery can work off this system for certain areas of the home. And then you can get all the Lutron color wheel, right? You can get satin colors and gloss colors with RAW 2 Select devices. And then the prices range for RAW 2 for a device from $130 up to $200, list price for those devices. And then as mentioned before, they're the same app, right? So now if you are using a repeater or a bridge and you're setting up a system, it's the same app to do both, right? You go to the App Store on Apple or Android right now, and you type in Lutron Caseta or Lutron RAW 2 Select. It's going to say exactly what it says on the screen, Lutron Caseta and RAW 2 Select app. And then to Eddie's point, contractor plugs this in, they download the app, they start setting up a system. The system will automatically know what brain it is, and it'll pull up that list of devices for them to start programming into. A couple different things. This is a new kind of launch screen of the app. We loaded in what we call contractor setup mode now. So now for the contractors out there that are installing these systems, you no longer need to get the homeowner's credentials to set up a system. Meaning you don't need to go to them and get an email and a password and set the system up for them. You can go through contractor setup. You can have all your job information loaded in, and then you're able to set up a system without any of the homeowner's information, and then send them a nice welcome letter when you're all done that walks them through how to download the app, what button to press, create an account, and then once they create the account, all your programming gets pulled right into that. So this is nice if you're working on jobs where maybe you don't know the homeowner yet. Maybe it's new construction. Maybe you're working in some type of apartment or condo complex, and again, you don't know who's going to be in the space you're renovating. So you can use this contractor setup mode and then send them the file, so to speak, at a later date. Couple things just to talk about on RAW 2 outside of residential. The fact that you can do 100 devices and higher wattage, and that we use wireless aux sensors. There may be some play with light commercial with this product. Restaurants come to mind for me. Small retail spaces come to mind for me. Things like that where you might have an avenue to put RAW 2 Select into a space like that.
And I'm doing a church right now.
Absolutely.
So,
yep.
Small church.
Yep. So we're pretty much done. I mean, maybe we could spend a couple minutes on Vive.
Sure.
Right? So, like I said, hopefully you're familiar with both Caseta and RAW 2 Select. But again, Caseta and RAW 2 Select can both be button press program, meaning you could put a dimmer, wire up a dimmer in the wall, grab a Lutron remote, you press the button on the dimmer, you press the button on the remote, these two get paired up, right? 10-year battery on the remote, now you're controlling, right? Oh, this one's controlling this one, right? But now this remote is controlling this, right? And you didn't have to run any wires to this, right? And the Picos themselves mount in many different ways. They mount on a faceplate where it looks like a wired device. They mount on what we call our pedestal mounts, right, for tabletops. And they can also be obviously mounted in multi-gang, right? So that way you could have multiple devices on a wall, things like that. So just kind of, doing a little demo on Vive, right? To Eddie's point earlier, if you understand how Caseta and RAW 2 Select work, you'll understand how Vive works, right? For Vive, what it is very similar, right? You're picking Vive devices, switches, dimmers, and we sell those devices, the switches and dimmers, in a couple different form factors, right? We sell traditional Maestro-style devices that wire in the wall like a traditional dimmer, and then we sell what we call POW pack units, right, that wire up in the ceiling. They do the same thing, they're just different form factors, right? The switch wires in the wall if you already have a box and wire there, and this switch wires up in the ceiling, so you don't have to pull a wire and put a box in, right? And then once you've done that, now you just add wireless devices to meet all the pieces of code that you need to meet or to save the energy you're looking to save, whether it's remotes for dimming and or local override, or it's wireless occupancy sensors, right, that meet code and you can tie to your lighting and things like that. And maybe if we're doing some daylighting, right, where you have windows in a space and you want to trim a zone of lights down based on that daylight pouring into the space, you can use a wireless daylight sensor. Again, all this product can be standalone, meaning you can have a dimmer in a location and pair up a sensor to it just by pressing a couple buttons and you're done. Or you can add what we call the Vive Hub, which is the brain of the system, which gives you free web-based software that goes out and grabs all this stuff and allows you to commission a job very easily, and then allows you to hand off to the end user a software package that gives them the ability to do building time clocks, check their energy usage in a space, see occupancy status, tie into a building management system if they happen to have that. So you're able to do a lot of things with this hub. But let's go back to just the basic standalone application, right? You're used to, running wire up in a ceiling with conduit and wiring up a low voltage sensor with an override switch on the wall. Well, with Lutron, it can be as easy as you just replace the switch on the wall with a Vibe switch. You press a couple buttons, you marry these two up, you slap this on the ceiling, and you're done, right? So I'll do a quick demo on that. So I'm going to press and hold the button on this happens to be a dimmer, but I'm pressing and holding the only button on the Maestro dimmer. It's going to be very hard to tell on this feed, but I'll let you guys know what's happening. Right now, all the LEDs on the side of this dimmer are flashing, and if you notice, the actual light is flashing. Right?
So it's in setup mode right now.
It's setup mode, right? It's looking for us to pair something up to it. It's going to stay like this for 10 minutes. Then you grab your wireless device and you press a button on here, and then you're going to get a visual. The lights are going to flash several times to let you know that something's happening, and then it drops out of program mode. You're done, right? So I'm going to press and hold a button on this sensor, and you're going to get the visual. This will flash rapidly 3 times when it links up. All right, 1. Oh, I didn't hold it long. All right, this flashes 3 times quick. 1, 2, and 3. Drops out of that program mode. Now this occupancy sensor, right, is now communicating to that dimmer. And it was that easy to pair these up. So kind of with that, we'll just jump back here a couple slides and just run through those events again, just so we can lock in the dates. What's important is on the residential side, again, what we have coming up for the month of June for your residential customers. We have June 5th in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. We have June 7th up in, I'll say, Westchester area. We have June 12th down in South Jersey, and we have June 14th in Ocean. So I would say definitely, get your customers to these events. We see a lot of success at these events when they get packed out and you get a lot of interaction during them. You actually get people usually buying stuff at the event, and we may be able to work out some type of special for these events to try to take orders that night to get people trying this stuff in their home. That's our biggest message at these events to the contractors is if you don't have this stuff in your home, you got to at least put something very basic in, because once you live with this stuff, you're going to find a way to sell it on every job. Every time you're on a job site replacing a can light, you're going to find a way to bring up a smart switch that works with a Pico and or off a phone, right? So that's, again, what we have coming up on the residential front. And then on the commercial front, June 20th, Edison, New Jersey, Topgolf. I think it's going to be a great venue. And again, that'll be commercially focused. We'll touch on code. We'll touch on energy saving. We'll go kind of deeper dive into this Vibe product, both standalone and when you want the software with the hub.
And the one question that always comes up, Eddie, do we stock these products? So on the Vibe side, yes, you virtually stock every Vibe item. So RMJSs, those are the load controllers. MRF2Ss, right? Those are the in-wall load controllers. You have our wireless sensors, the LRF2s, and you do actually have a hub in stock at the CDC. So we're ready to rock and roll for you.
Yep.
So these are in stock. Obviously, the full breadth of Caseta has been in stock for years now. And on the Select side, we brought in both the main and the auxiliary repeaters, and we're going to boost the inventory on the dimmers and switches in white, right? Remember, they're available in 27 colors. Yep. I don't think purchasing would like it very much if I asked them to stock all those colors, but definitely going to boost up the inventory on the white, on the Select.
And everything we talked about today, we have very nice takeaway brochures that run through the product, give you part numbers, and in some cases, list pricing. So if you have any interest for any of this stuff, or you want some more of this stuff in your branch, please reach out to your local rep and Lutron folks, and we'll get you set up. That way you have Vibe literature to pass off, Caseta literature, and or Raw 2 Select. So with that, you have both our contact information on the screen. Again, Eddie Miro with Thea and Schoen, New Jersey, New York. Lutron rep, Joe Pirro directly with Lutron. My territory, I go New Jersey up to Maine. So I got Cooper, Friedman, and City all covered. So let us know how we can help.
All right, let's start selling, guys. Questions? I have some questions. Maybe not.